Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome to a new reaction. This is Who is Princess Daisy in the Mario Universe by the Men Talk. Now, this is a suggestion I got off of my Discord server. This is a suggestion I got off my Discord server by Nathaniel, and also the Men Talk. Honestly, that name sounds familiar. I don't know if I've done a reaction to them before, but I think I have watched something of them before. I just can't for the life of me remember what it is. Because again, that sounds very familiar. Anyway, onto the topic of the video. Princess Daisy, yeah, she is a bit of a mystery when it comes to, Mario lore, because I know, she is actually, the princess of a kingdom. I forget what it was like a desert-themed one, but you play as Mario going to save her in like the Mario World games on like the first Game Boy, I think? I can't remember exactly. But yeah, other than that, I mean, she's always just been sort of like a side character used in games where they need a bigger cast, like the Mario Party games, or like any of the various sports games or stuff like that. Like, she herself hasn't made an appearance in an actual mainline Mario game in like forever. And you're thinking about it, it's funny how, granted, you can find some of the compilations of her in other sports where like, Princess Peach is very much more like prim and proper and stuff like that. Princess Daisy is much more, I was gonna say energetic, but no, she's very much just like a tomboy. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that, like, I'm pretty sure she has to wear the dress just as part of her royal duties, I very much imagine she'd be wearing, like, sports gear almost all the time. And again, it's kind of funny that, a lot of the time in, like, fan media and stuff like that, she's paired up as being, like, Luigi's girlfriend while Peach is with Mario, when, again, in her first appearance, it was Mario that went to save her. So, I mean, it's funny how things change like that. So, I mean, yeah, I really don't have I don't have anything really else to say on the topic, so let's get into this video. So, yeah, of course, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video linked to my Let's Play today. And if you like this video or any other video that I make, I'd very much appreciate it if you gave the video a like and subscribe to my channel, because, I know most of you aren't subscribed. I think last I checked, about a third of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so I could please subscribe. I'm very much hoping to hit 5,000 subscribers sometime this year, hopefully. God, but yeah. With all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
Hey everyone, if I sound a little weird, it's because I'm under the weather, so we're gonna get through this one way or another. All right, thanks. This is the nation of Sarasaland. It's got this knockoff Goomba, a Sphinx, pyramids, this weird Moai statue that everyone was throwing in their Splatoon lockers, and Princess Daisy. Princess Daisy is one of those characters I've seen many Mario fans advocating to return in an actual Super Mario game. She's the sassier, more outspoken princess within the franchise, and in my opinion, grossly underutilized. But how did she come to be? Why does Nintendo restrict her to sports games and spin-offs? Let's take a deeper dive into her origins. Welcome everyone to Origin Oracle. Kick back, grab a snack, and let's head back in time.
Mario Land, yeah, I was right.
It's no secret that Princess Daisy made her debut in the original Game Boy title, Super Mario Land, released in 1989. Much like Princess Peach within the Super Mario Bros. Actually, let me address this one time because I had a vocal minority getting pretty upset that I referred to this title as Super Mario Bros. I love corrections in the comments section because that's what keeps me in check, but it got to the point where people were condescendingly telling me the definition of an abbreviation in the comment section, like English teachers on crack. Guys, I know this is an abbreviation for brothers. I've used bros and brothers in this context interchangeably since the early 90s.
And I have to wonder if these same people lose sleep at night when fans refer to this game as Super Smash Bros.
Do they visibly cringe when they ask for directions and someone says make a left on 7th Ave? Anyway, corrections are always welcome, just don't be that guy. And to those who politely corrected me, thanks for being civil.
Repeat? Okay, what am I saying? It's the internet. Of course people were angry at him for saying that. I mean, like, honestly, like Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Bros. Yeah, when referring to that first game, yeah, I've used it, like, I've used both names interchangeably. I mean, honestly, what's the big deal?
Here's a virtual cookie. And for the sake of accuracy though, from now on I'll pronounce this game exactly as Nintendo intended it. Much like Princess Peach in Super Mario Bros. Released in 1985, Princess Daisy was intended to play a similar role as the damsel in distress in Super Mario Land. So this story kicks off with an evil space alien, Topanga, invading Sarasa Land and kidnapping Daisy to make her his queen. Just kidding, this guy's name's Topanga, but I can't think of anything else when I hear that name. So Topanga here will also hypnotize the citizens of Sarasa Land to help him with his plan. Enter Mario, who will go on a journey to each of Sarasa Land's 4 kingdoms to stop Topanga and bring peace back to the nation. It's a pretty simple story overall, but I always loved how different the aesthetic was here in comparison to Super Mario Bros. Because there was so much weird shit going on here. Like these things here. They're called Goombos.
Oh my god, what is that?
They operate and look very similar to Goombas, but the change is just subtle enough for this to look off-putting. And if
actually, okay, thinking about it. So, these were specifically called, they're not worlds, they're kingdoms. So, Sarasa Land has kingdoms underneath it that Princess Daisy is the princess of all of them. Does that make Sarasa Land an empire? Because empire titles go over kingdom titles. So does that mean that Daisy is in line to become an empress?
If you really want to see something weird, here's a Goomba posing with Tony the Tiger in a Kellogg's Nintendo trading card. Anyway,
Jeez,
the
okay,
levels in
that's weird.
Super Mario Land take place in 4 different kingdoms within Sarasa Land. Birabuto Kingdom, based on ancient Egypt. Muda
Yeah.
Kingdom, based on Bermuda. Eastern Kingdom, based on Easter Island. And Chai Kingdom, based on ancient China. Each of these kingdoms have a different ruler that will serve as the boss for the area, since they're under Totanga's control. But more on them later. Let's quickly discuss the creation of Daisy and how Super Mario Land was set into motion. Super Mario Land was a project developed by Nintendo Research and Development 1, responsible for the series like Donkey Kong, earlier Mario titles, and Metroid. This team was led by one of the bright stars at Nintendo at the time, Gunpei Yokoi, who was largely responsible for the invention of the Game Boy and the Virtual Boy, but I guess that's a story for another day.
Yeah, I mean, they can't all be winners, unfortunately.
As mentioned in previous videos, Yokoi played a huge role in the creation of Donkey Kong, the Mario Bros. Arcade game, and the Game & Watch series. So to promote the release of the Game Boy in April 1989, Nintendo's CEO at the time, Hiroshi Yamauchi, wanted a set of fun launch titles that would help bolster those console sales. So he pushed for a portable Mario title with Yokoi's team leading the charge. Surprisingly, Miyamoto would not be involved in this project at all, which may explain some of the strikingly different creative liberties that we see throughout the end product.
I wonder if that's why why a lot of it isn't even referenced anymore. Because I know, like, I remember, for the longest time, people were, like, begging and chanting, oh, bring Waluigi as a playable fighter in Super Smash Bros. Instead of just a trophy and stuff like that. And I remember people talking about, oh, the reason that'll never really happen is because, like, Waluigi wasn't technically a creation of Nintendo. He was a creation specifically of, like, oh god, I forget what the company's called, but the company that made Mario Tennis as, like, the partner to Wario. And that's why, like Daisy, he's only ever appeared in, like, these extracurricular games? That's not really how you'd say it, but you know what I'm talking about.
These inconsistencies were apparently caused by the need to shrink everything down to the tiny Game Boy screen.
Yeah.
So Yokoi would serve as this game's producer, and Satoru Okada, who was responsible for games like Metroid and Kid Icarus, would become the director. They wanted a new setting for the game, far away from the Mushroom Kingdom, probably to explain away some of these jarring line art backgrounds. But with that in mind, a brand new damsel in distress was created, Princess Daisy. From the very beginning, Daisy was described as an energetic tomboy, though I'm sure it was hard to depict this on a Game Boy screen. Her nation, Sarasa Land, has a name derived from...
Wait a second. Actually, I mean, just trying to figure out. So, I mean, unlike, like, in Super Mario Bros., where, the Peach sprite is noticeably shorter than a Super Mario sprite, this one, I mean, like, how tall is, like, Daisy in this sprite? So we'll say, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pixels tall. Granted, I'm no, like, video game, artist or anything like that, but something tells me it'd be kind of hard to get, any form of detail in something that tiny.
I'm sure it was hard to depict this on a Game Boy screen. Her nation, Sarasa Land, has a name derived from the word sarasa, a Portuguese word used to describe textiles that were imported by Portuguese traders to Japan during the Edo period. I'm like a casual Japanese history buff, so I found that detail to be pretty interesting.
Really?
With the release of the Game Boy approaching, it was originally intended for Super Mario Land to be bundled with every console sold, but they would later go with Tetris instead. Either way, Super Mario Land would become the 4th best-selling Game Boy game, pushing 18 million copies worldwide.
Jeez, that is a lot.
So back to Sarasa Land. Mario takes out the 4 bosses King Totomesu, Dragon Zamasu, Hiyohoi, and Biokinton. I think it's Biokinton. And I'm still shocked that these names were barely localized in the West. By the way, Biokinton here is just a straight up cloud, which I thought was really different from the rest of the bosses. But his bio states that he's just really shy and the actual Biokinton is hiding behind the cloud. Great excuse, Nintendo.
Oh, he's just shy. Granted, like, how much... Oh, God. Can you imagine if they actually made, like, an HD remake of this game? I can guarantee you 100% that if they did that, the end of the boss would result in the cloud evaporating and you actually see what he looks like for real. And it'd be... How much you want to bet it'd be like this little guy in a little flying machine, like, just being, like, really weird, like, and runs away.
Another interesting thing about these bosses here is that King Totomesu was actually discovered in some of the Super Mario Odyssey concept art. It looks like for the Sand Kingdom, they were going to go for an Egyptian background as well and wanted to incorporate him in some form, but that idea was dropped for a more Mesoamerican style level that we got in the actual game. It actually looked like Sarasa Land was planned to be one of Mario's destinations within Super Mario Odyssey. We can see in some of the concept art the Moai statues and some of the mountains that are found in Chai Kingdom within the concept art itself, but it looks like Nintendo dropped the idea and went with other concepts instead. So with all the leaders of Sarasa Land unhypnotized after their fight with Mario, he goes to take down Topanga. This is a super abrupt boss battle, by the way. You take out Biokinton and then Topanga just immediately pops up. People complained about how short this game was back in the day, and I can see why. Anyway, Mario fights.
There's not even like a 5th world you go through to get to him. He just appears. Jeez, okay, they really had to cut the game down to fit on the Game Boy.
His airplane, the Sky Pop, to shoot down the alien invader, and finally he saves Princess Daisy once and for all. I gotta point out Mario's dialogue here real quick. Oh Daisy, oh Daisy. What happened between you and Peach, Mario? I'd like to think he pulled up to Sarasa Land because things didn't work out with Peach so well the first time around.
Oh, God.
But seriously, the relationship between Mario and Daisy around this time was kind of up in the air. There's a manga where there's a love triangle between Mario, Peach, and Daisy, which leads to some fun panels with Peach and Daisy feuding over Mario. To add insult to injury, whenever he takes out one of these bosses from Super Mario Land, there's a decoy Daisy waiting for him. One of them even gives him a kiss to later reveal himself as a disgusting fly monster. But we'll talk more about this manga a little bit.
Oh God, no, not hyper detailed manga Mario.
Later in the video. So after Mario saves Daisy in-game, they fly away in his jet and we never see her featured in a proper Super Mario game again. Unless you count her costume in Super Mario Maker. Or Super Mario Run. This is probably the closest we've gotten. I guess we can chalk this up to Sarasa Land being a really peaceful place while there are things blowing up in the Mushroom Kingdom every other weekend. Daisy would make her official second appearance as Luigi's caddy in NES Open Tournament Golf, released for the NES in 1991. Actually, she was featured as a sticker in Super Mario Bros. Print World, where they get to face off with terrifying opponents like Steve, Mark, and Tony. This might be the first instance where it's hinted that there's a little more going on between Luigi and Daisy here. There's even a manga based on this game where she kisses him, while poor Mario here is wondering how he's hit a wall with Peach so many times. Nintendo would throw Daisy into the vault for almost 10 years until her next appearance in the year 2000 in a little sports title called Mario Tennis for the Nintendo 64, developed by Camelot.
Camelot! That's the name of the game. Okay.
Something to remember when you're playing new Mario Tennis, only on N64.
While Camelot would go on to develop Golden Sun and most of the Mario Tennis and golf games from that point on, it's pretty interesting that they used to be a dev team at Sega, known for their Shining series. I think they realized shit was hitting the fan over at Sega and moved over to Nintendo after that. Anyway, while they were building out the roster for Mario Tennis, they originally wanted to bring in a rival to Peach. Something similar to Wario and Waluigi, who debuted in this game by the way, but we'll get to him in another video. But Nintendo didn't like the idea of giving Peach the Wario treatment, so they gave Camelot Daisy to work with instead, who would become the doubles partner for Luigi.
Which actually, speaking of, I do remember, again, on Twitter a little while ago, there was the whole thing of, like the character art of like Peach popped up or something like that, and she was like a little evil kid with like black spikes coming out of the side of like her weird helmet thing. It was really weird looking.
Funny enough, Camelot actually wanted to milk this further and asked Miyamoto if they could feature girlfriends for Wario and Waluigi, but Miyamoto politely told them to go fuck up, get out! Personally, I'm really interested to see the concept art for that Peach counterpart that made Nintendo turn the idea down, but I also gotta mention Mario Tennis for the Game Boy Color. Don't sleep on that version because it's totally different from the N64. It has its own story mode. you get to drive this character through the ranks until he's ready to face the Mario characters. They got Daisy up here looking like the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy. Don't slay me in the comments, but I think this is the better version. Also, they did similar RPG versions for Mario Tennis and Golf for the Game Boy Advance, and I think you guys should definitely check that out.
Really?
All right, back to the video. So after this
Tennis RPG. Okay, that's a really interesting concept.
This opened the floodgates for Princess Daisy to start being featured in other spin-off titles to pad out the Mario roster for Nintendo, like Mario Party, Mario Kart, Mario Baseball, Super Mario Strikers, Mario Hoops, Fortune Street, Mario Golf, Yakuman DS, Super Smash Bros., and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. I guess we can thank Camelot for this, or specifically for trying to pitch an ugly Peach for their game to Nintendo. Even though there wasn't much personality to show in Super Mario Land, they did describe her as an energetic tomboy, and this has remained true within most of the spin-offs she's featured. Early on, her voice is pretty timid throughout these spin-off titles.
I mean, at that point, that she basically sounds identical to Peach, so I wouldn't be surprised if they literally just reused the same lines.
But I don't think it's until Diana Mustard started voicing Daisy where we start to hear that more gruff, tomboyish accent that we hear in Daisy today. We hear her first performance in Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, released in 2003 for the GameCube, but I definitely think it was in Super Mario Strikers where she took the character's personality and ran with it. She has a very tough exterior and is shown to be pretty extroverted, which I think is one of the reasons she's liked among Mario fans. But for the most part, Daisy still has the same backstory as Princess of Sarasaland. There's been a couple of minor references to her father in Mario Party 3 and Fortune Street.
Wait, near bankrupt. I don't want to go bankrupt. Can my daddy put a little extra gold in my bank account? Okay.
What do you mean by that?
The internet has officially ruined me. But nothing we could really use to piece together what's going on in Sarasaland at this moment. On their Mario Party 6 website, she had a brief profile that said the following: Peach missed female companionship until this girl with the orange hair moved into the Mushroom Kingdom. Personally, I wouldn't describe her hair as orange, but the point still stands.
Yeah, that's a very strong ginger.
I'll leave it up to you guys whether or not you want to give this text any credibility. Of course, within a lot of these games, there are still hints that Daisy and Luigi might be a thing, though Nintendo hasn't officially confirmed this. For example, if they team up in Mario Party, a couple of their team names are Steady Sweeties and Tango Tanglers. I know many people wonder why Daisy hasn't been featured in mainline Mario games, or even spin-offs like Mario and Luigi, or Paper Mario for that matter. This is a little bit of speculation, but here are a couple of reasons why I think we don't see her around too much. I think there's a level of favoritism for the characters that Miyamoto helped to create. I don't see this in a petty kind of way, but I wouldn't be surprised if developers were limited in only involving the characters that get his approval in the mainline Super Mario series. I think even Pauline gets more action these days than Daisy, and it's not a secret that Nintendo places strict rules on characters within the Mario universe. The other main reason is that she's not as popular as the others. The famous Japanese messaging platform Line performed a Super Mario popularity poll among people ages 10 to 59, and it looked like Daisy didn't even break the top 10. In her defense, this is a poll among Japanese audiences only, and more than likely a limited pool of Line users, but this is interesting nonetheless. By the way, if you're curious, Yoshi is number 1, followed by Mario and Toad. There are a few other types of media outside of Mario games that feature Daisy though. I showed a little bit before, but there was a Super Mario manga that ran from 1988 to 1998, published by Kodansha Limited, and written solely by Japanese mangaka Kazuki Motoyama. Not to be confused with Mario-kun, by the way. Unfortunately, I couldn't find translated versions of this manga, so I couldn't get all the juicy details from these panels, but the first few entries are based on Super Mario Land, apparently taking place after the events of Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2. Princess Daisy is a friend of Princess Peach, and the story starts with her and Mario arriving in Sarasaland. As I mentioned before, their friendship turns into a rivalry to gain Mario's attention, before Tatanka pulls up and kidnaps Daisy, which more or less sets the plot of the game into motion. It's honestly a very faithful adaptation as it takes into account all of the enemies and even bonus stages that Mario encounters during his journey. For some reason, Peach disguises herself as a robot and also goes along with Mario to save Daisy. The first volume covers the entire story of Super Mario Land and has these really detailed and charming pages capturing the atmosphere of each kingdom within Sarasaland. If anyone—
Oh god, you know what I just remembered? A long time ago, but a while ago, I came across this a comic on DeviantArt, and it was called The Three Little Princesses? Let me double check that. God, yeah, this is it. Oh, Three Little Princesses. It was a comic made by Yus Borgelis. I'm sorry, I'm most likely mispronouncing that. But yeah, it started off initially as like this little fun thing of like Peach, Daisy, and Rosalinda having like a sleepover, and then the story kind of evolved where like somehow Daisy came in contact with like this magical mirror that like seduced her and like turned her into her old, like really old self, and like I guess kind of like going into the whole thing where she's from a kingdom that's it's very desert like. She had like darker skin, and well, actually let me see if I can find the page where she transforms. Oh yeah, here we are. And I remember loving reading this when it was still being actively updated, because like everybody started fawning over Princess Daisy so much that Princess Peach started getting really jealous. Oh god, it was so funny.
Anyone can link me to a translated version of this manga series, I'd love to dive deeper, as they cover a lot of the games all the way up to Yoshi's story. Anyway, after she's saved, Daisy would become a recurring character within this series, joining Mario, Luigi, and Peach on their Mario Open Golf adventure based on NES Open Tournament Golf.
Okay.
According to this entry, this seems to be where Daisy starts showing interest in Luigi, because my boy here has a natural talent in the game of golf.
I'm a Luigi, number one.
She still has feelings for Mario in future entries though, but there's another volume loosely based on the events of Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, which I'll cover more deeply when we get to Wario's
takes
video.
over.
Wario and Daisy don't interact at all in that game, but in this manga, he captures her and manipulates her into becoming Walu Daisy, an evil version of herself that hypnotizes people into serving Wario. She even manages to turn Luigi into Waluigi and Peach into Walu Peach. Yeah, this was Waluigi before Waluigi. Okay, wait, one more. In the Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land story of this manga, there's this fog that plagues the Mushroom Kingdom with an illness, Peach included, and while all of this is happening, Daisy is told by Peach that she's her alter ego, and proceeds to ask her to save the world. Peach is like, I would love to sacrifice myself for the good of the world, but I'm sick.
I swear, what is it? I swear, the mangas based off of Nintendo properties can get just so weird. Like, think this, like this, the Pokemon mangas that I've heard and seen bits and pieces of. Like, apparently there are several of them released at the same time. Like, apparently there was, apart from there was the one with the questionable artwork. There was the one where like the kid gets like a legendary Pokemon to fuse with him, and he kind of becomes like a superhero costume suit thing. I've only seen like the first issue of that one. That was really weird. And like Nintendo will put out this weird stuff, and yet they won't make a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon cartoon. I have wanted one of those since I first played the original game. Just staying on topic of that, like, they've even made, like, those animated cartoons, like, single episodes starting off the beginning of the adventures. I want a cartoon based on one of those so badly.
So you gotta do it.
What?
So yeah, Daisy thanks Mario for everything, kisses him goodbye, and sacrifices herself, turning into a bunch of healing spores that spread to stop the poison. Some of the spores turn into small versions of her, but surprisingly, she's dead. But it gets worse. In a later issue, Luigi tells one of the Daisy clones that she's just a copy and he was in love with the original. That's when we see Daisy begin to rise from her grave while Luigi pisses himself. The manga ended its run shortly after this, so we'll probably never get to see how that one ends.
Okay, sure. Why not? Okay.
But I gotta give this manga some credit because it does give Daisy that whole tomboyish character that she is described to have. And since there aren't that many renditions of her around this time, I would say this is probably one of the earliest depictions showing her as such. Daisy would also be featured in her very own song from an album called Super Mario Compact Disco, released exclusively in Japan in 1993. So this album is pretty easy to track down now, but it has a ton of remixes from Mario music from that time, and mainly a set of raps by the Ambassadors of Funk, a musical project created by British musician Simon Harris. After playing Super Mario Land on the Game Boy, he was inspired to mix the game's score into something that sounded like house music, since it had a similar tempo. But track 13 is called Save Me With Your Charm, and there's an artist on this particular track that identifies herself as Daisy.
Yo, this is Princess Daisy. You're listening to Super Mario
This whole album just feels good. It's nothing groundbreaking,
okay.
but it's definitely a window into another time. So all my nostalgic 90s people out here, go check this one out. Last but not least is the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I'm setting aside a separate video for this, but I have to mention it for the sake of including this version of Daisy in this video.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. Where, yeah, she's called Princess Toadstool, but her name is also Daisy in that. Oh god, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that's one of the more weird parts of that movie. Yeah, exactly.
Princess Daisy is the catalyst that sets off the Mario Brothers on their journey into an alternate dimension run by King Koopa, played by Dennis Hopper. We find out that Daisy's character, who is played by Samantha Mathis, is the long-lost princess of Dino Hatton, her father being overthrown and devolved into a fungus by Koopa. I always thought it was a weird choice that they picked Daisy to be featured in this movie as the princess instead of Peach, but they did form a romance between her and Luigi in this movie, so apparently they got that part right.
Yeah,
I'll
guess.
definitely be coming back to this movie at some point, but I'm also curious if Daisy will have some kind of cameo in the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Film. Anywho, that is the origins of the underutilized Princess Daisy. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think she should play a larger role in mainline Mario titles? Or is Daisy fine where she is as an athlete and friend of the Mario cast? I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, everyone, be safe.
Honestly, I mean, my whole view on it is, like, I just, like, from what I've heard, you know, Nintendo generally has a philosophy that, like they generally try not to make new games in the series unless they know for certain they can do something, like, you know, actually new. That's, you know, where Super Mario Sunshine, Galaxy 2, you know, all games that did something different, and then you had New Super Mario Bros., which is kind of just nostalgia and stuff like that. But, like, in all those games, and, you know, the most recent one, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, or Super Mario Bros. Wonder, but, like, in all that, I very much wish they would, like, stop relying on just creating, like, these new one-off, like, characters that would just kind of, like, set the plot forth and kind of, like, use some of their existing, you know, lineup. Because, again, like, I can very much imagine, like, can you imagine a Mario game where, oh, the Mario Bros. Had to split up? You couldn't play this, like, either one in the same world. Each one had their own, I guess, campaign, like, oh, something's big happening in multiple places, and Mario and Luigi have to split up, where Mario's helping Peach in the Mushroom Kingdom, and then Luigi has to go help Daisy in Sarasa Land. Or even just having her show up in, like, the Mario and Luigi series. Like, that'd be fun. Again, it would be so cool to have, you know, to have some, have these new, and have, like, new, I guess, for lack of a better word, lore to add to the characters. But, hey, you know, I don't run Nintendo. If I did, I wouldn't be doing it. If I did, you'd certainly know. But, yeah, with all that being said, that's definitely going to be it for now. So, yeah, of course, as always, original videos linked in the description. If you haven't seen it yet for some reason, corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day. And, yeah, with all that out of the way, I hope you guys like. If you did, subscribe if you have not. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.